Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yesterday I did a lesson on the migrants that, as was reported, assaulted these New York police officers in Times Square. And, I just saw an article today. This is from Fox News. A couple of articles that are somewhat related, but pretty interesting nevertheless, because in this one here from Fox News, the headline reads, NYC migrants arrested for assaulting police flee to California upon release. And I was mentioning that in the video I did yesterday because these migrants here, like I said, they were released without bail, right? They are in a quote unquote foreign country, be it whatever their motives are. And you have people that are so-called citizens of this place that don't adhere to the law, right? How much more for somebody that was able to freely come into this country, and undetected or whatever the case is. Now, when we read a little bit into this article, it says here, 4 migrants who were caught and released after attacking 2 New York City police officers near Times Square have reportedly fled to California. The New York Post, citing a law enforcement source, said that authorities believe that Darwin, Andres Gomez, Kelvin, and then it goes on and lists their names, which they're about the ages of 19, 21, and 24, have skipped town after the incident. Well, what did you expect to happen? Did you think that they were going to do that, right? And they get released and they were just going to stay here so you can come get them again? They don't have ties to New York. They don't have ties to one specific place. What's stopping them from just getting their stuff and just dipping? Like, some of them might be staying at so-called migrant shelters, right? And why would they? It's not like they have like, you have a job here, you have a lease, and all of these things, and so you're just like, I can't just get up and move. It's gonna take a lot. No. They don't have that. So, I mean, what did you expect? Police believe that the foursome successfully got on a bus for California on Wednesday after giving fake names to a church-affiliated nonprofit group that helps migrants leave the Big Apple, the Post reported. Once again, what did you expect? That they were going to come clean and say, hey, by the way, yeah, we are those that you saw in the news that assaulted those police officers downtown the other day. And yeah, we're just trying to get out of here. Oh, boy. The group's getaway was successful after the suspects were released without bail following their arrests. Here's another headline. Illegal migrant flips middle fingers after being charged with attacking NYPD in Times Square. And that's why, at least by the time you're watching this video, chances are I've already titled it as this is only the beginning, all right, or this is only the beginning of it, because these are just like precedents. It's not going to be isolated to just this one event. There's going to be more conflicts. There's going to be more altercations, and it's going to escalate more and more. Because, like I mentioned, you have now more lawlessness. The situation is more dire, so people are more desperate. But also, you have less law enforcement. And as a matter of fact, in this other article, this one was from Zero Hedge, and this was dealing with the border situation. But this has an interesting headline, as it reads, quote unquote, "This is not friendly. Brett Weinstein shows Tucker Carlson how China and the UN are driving the invasion of America." So who knows? Maybe I might title it that. You know what happens when you put those kinds of titles. But anyway, in this article, what's interesting is that they talk about how they visited some of these different areas, and concerning the border, right? And the groups of people that they met weren't all just like, oh, this guy, clearly he's like a South American or, some migrant that's coming through. No, they mentioned that they met people from Yemen, people from Iran, people from the East, people from Africa, people from China. Some of them, you can get the sense that they are actual migrants, and some of them are very, very tight-lipped, almost as if saying anything would be, like a mistake, like they can't do that, a violation. And so that's very interesting. And I'm gonna skim through and read certain key parts in this article to highlight that point. But that's very interesting, right? Because these NGOs, along with your own government, okay, is hand in hand in having this happen. So what exactly is going on here? And on top of that, as more and more migrants come in, and these cities, New York and so on and so forth, are trying to accommodate for them, they have to cut their budget on other existing services that they already have to deal with. And that includes the firefighters, that includes your police force, that includes your education. Key part being police force. So you're letting in a whole bunch of people, fighting age, military aged men, right? And you're already seeing signs of the things that they can do. And then in order to accommodate for that, you are reducing your police force by cutting budget. What a brilliant idea, huh? See, here's the thing, right? It depends on how you look at it. It's all about perspective. If you look at this situation as these people are trying or they're going about it the wrong way when it comes to, securing the border or the protection of the American people and so on and so forth, then that's exactly what you're going to think, that they're going about it the wrong way. This doesn't make sense. Why would they be allowing this? You're almost doing the reverse. Why are you're increasing the ratio of crime and decreasing the law enforcement? That doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense if you think that they're actually doing this for your best interest. If you think they're doing this because they care so much about providing a safe space for people to, who are having trouble in their country so they can just come on in here. What does make sense is when you realize that this is clearly not about that. There's a more sinister alternative motive that's going on here. And then you realize that even a middle schooler or a high schooler can think of better ways to go about this situation than what these people are doing. So maybe they're not going after their motive is not what you think their motive is. And when you understand that, you realize, oh, then as a matter of fact, they're doing a great job. They're doing exactly what they should be doing if their goal is to destabilize the country. And guess what? That's exactly what it is. So let's read a little bit more. I came away with the sense that it's probably literally both a migration and an invasion. And the scary part about it is the majority of American citizens, people dwelling here, this is going directly under their nose, like it's going over their head and under their nose. They don't actually realize how dangerous and how much of a big deal this situation actually is. Okay, it actually is a national security risk. Why did they bother to set up borders in the first place? If it was not if everything was good, if you can just allow anybody to come up into your country, why do countries have borders? Why do they have security? Why do you go through customs and all of these things when you travel to a foreign country? They might as well just get rid of TSA and get rid of all those security at the airports, because that would be the equivalent of what they're doing over here. It's just that the people are not coming in directly from a plane. Maybe some of them are being dropped off, but they're just walking through. That's like the equivalent of going to an airport and you're not going to see any security. They're not scanning. They're not looking in bags. They're not doing that. Come on in. They're not checking your passport. They're not trying to identify who you are. just come on in. So if there was no need for security and for borders, why would that be the case in the first place? But anyway, you chose Biden, right? That's what you wanted. People crying for him, till this day I remember that day. Matter of fact, the months and weeks leading up to that time, when I mean they almost criminalized you if you said you weren't going to vote. Not even if you said you weren't going to vote for Biden or you were a Trump supporter. No, if you just said you weren't interested in voting, they almost criminalized you. Excuse me, so you're a Trump supporter? And you ask these people, okay, so what is it about Biden that's making you want to vote for him? Well, he's not Trump. Well, now you wish he was, right? Man. Now, what's very interesting is as we keep on reading this article, you're actually gonna let me actually jump to that part and I'll come back up. They put in some quotes here by some people that we all know, right? Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Joe Biden. Now they didn't put when exactly this was, but these were the words that they said. Right now, this is what Biden said. Quote unquote, no great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, and a whole range of things. So this guy, Biden, those were his words. But I mean, are we talking about the same Biden who's fighting against Texas because Texas is trying to, I guess, in layman's terms, uphold the same things he just said in this quote? But he's saying, no. Drop that. Take down the razor wire. Let them in. That sounds like a contradiction to what he said here. Right? And guess what? This is what Barack Obama said. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country. Well, where's Obama at? What I don't hear him coming up and saying something about this. Maybe that's just me not looking enough, or maybe he just hasn't said anything that's meaningful concerning this situation. But I mean, quote unquote, aren't these his words? This place is completely through, man. But this goes to show you that the decisions that are made, they don't come from the people you think they come from. Biden is not sitting there, the lights are off, it's late at night, he's on his bed thinking, damn, how do I make this country a better place? The dude is senile, man. The dude he's just a face, a puppet, because that's what people, need to keep them in control. They need some false reality. But the dude he's just taking orders, man. Okay, he's just taking orders. Now let me try to find. Yeah, here we go. So, like I said, I'm gonna skim and read the important parts here. So this part in here says the first camp that Weinstein described visiting was full of migrants who were very open to discussing their stories with travelers and looked superficially like the migration of Central Americans that we are constantly told about. Many of them are South American, but that is by no means the whole story. People are coming from the Middle East. We met Afghans, we met people from the Caribbean, Haitians. There are people from Yemen, Iran. It's shocking, really. Wait, Yemen, Iran? Wait, we talking about the same Yemen that has the Houthis that are at conflict and pretty much at the brink of war with the U.S.? Wait, we're talking about the same Iran that the U.S. is blaming for backing up the Houthis and pretty much on the verge of war with? The same Iran that they're listing their Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization? Wait, are we talking about that same Iran? And we're seeing people from there are also coming through into the U.S.? Oh, wow. Man, sounds like a problem, huh? They should probably take care of that. Well, anyway, Let's see what else do we have here. Right. So it says here, but the supernatural authorities were all evident. You see the hallmark of the international community. You see NGO emblems all over the place. Because look here. Let's think about this, right? Unless all of a sudden a whole bunch of people from Africa, from the Middle East, from China just had they just gained a lot of money out of nowhere, right? And they were just able to end up migrating to live in South and Central America. It doesn't make sense that somebody in Africa somehow ends up here at your border to the United States. How? Did they walk on water? Did they take a boat? You know, how did they all end up here? Clearly, it wasn't by themselves. This has to have some structure, some organization to it. And lo and behold, that's where these NGOs come into play. Proudly American flags, they've paid for the water system, the toilets that are there. The United States government is facilitating this economic migration. And it's unmistakable as is an organization called the IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration. It's a branch of the UN. Oh, wow. Shocking. And if you read their charter, you will discover that this organization believes that migration is an inherently good thing, that it's always good. So once again, why did countries and nations set up borders? Why did they set up walls? Why did they have these kinds of security? Let everybody in. It's always good. It's inherently good. And as a matter of fact, the people who run these organizations, as a matter of fact, they shouldn't have security. They shouldn't even have door locks. They should leave their doors open at night because people should be allowed to come in to their living habitations because it's good. Maybe somebody wants to migrate and come and spend a night with them in their place. Why not open your doors to them? It's always good, remember? Anyway, and so they see it as their job to bring it to bring it about, to facilitate it. And in this case, that's particularly tragic because their desire to induce people to migrate is causing people who are woefully unprepared for the Darien Gap to try and make that journey. Let's see what else we got over here. There we go. So there's one here that says, Weinstein then pivoted to contrast that experience with a second one, highlighting for Carson how it has been built as a transit camp for almost all Chinese migrants. The ones that the FBI is warning about being in positions to hack and bring down the U.S. infrastructure, or the ones that are on the brink of pretty much going to war over Taiwan. Okay. The Senafront, the Panamanian border control, actually forbid us to go into the camp. So we had to stay on the outside of it. We were also forbidden to photograph it. So what photographs we have were taken covertly, Weinstein explained. These Chinese folks, who are overwhelmingly male, military age, it is not a friendly migration. This felt like people who did not want to share information because it would be a mistake to do so. Interesting. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, Weinstein criticizes the lack of distinction made between political refugees and economic migrants at the U.S. border, suggesting that the current policy framework is inadvertently supporting an unsustainable and potentially exploitative system. That's exactly what it's doing. And people are exploiting it. Nations, some or a majority that are not friendly to the U.S. Let's find another part right here. Right. So when you look at this guy, as is highlighted in here, this guy Biden, right? It says here on President Biden's inaugural day, he introduced policies that incentivize illegal immigration. A few were pausing deportations, suspending remain in Mexico, quote unquote, and stopped border wall construction. And now you have this on your hand. And I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. Just watch what happens to this country. Okay, just watch and see what happens to this country. And you're going to understand why the scriptures talk about a time like never before, i.e. the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, this place is definitely, is just really just it's awaiting something, at any moment, any point, something can go down. Now, the part that I wanted to get here is this part right here. Since Biden's policy changes, over 8 million people have illegally entered the country. That's quite a lot of people. They can do quite a lot of damage. With millions more slipping past Border Patrol undetected. This surge in illegal immigration is a national security crisis, not a national security risk, right? Pay attention to these words. It's not a national security risk. When somebody tells you you're at risk of something, that means that if you don't change your ways, you can possibly get this thing. Oh, there is a risk that if you drive fast or if you're driving in a snowstorm, you can get into an accident. That's a risk. But you can make it through and nothing would happen to you. A risk is not guaranteed. It's a possibility. This is not a risk. This is not a national security risk. This is a national security crisis. Okay? When you're in a crisis, you're in it. It's affecting you. It's not a potential. It's not, no. It's danger. It says costing American taxpayers hundreds of billions per year. Major U.S. cities grappling with the escalating financial burden are, here's the part, slashing budgets for essential services. Essential means it's important, right? Such as fire, police, and education. So you wonder why, like I mentioned, you drive, you see a cop car, you slow down, but you realize there's nobody in the car. An accident happens, you call the cops, they don't show up. And then crime starts to go up because anybody starts to, wait, hold on, did they just say four migrants attacked these people and they just let them go? Well, what happens if maybe I take a few things from the store right here? I know the store cashier ain't gonna chase me down. By the time they call the cops, if the cops let these people go, the cops don't even show up to accidents. What's the cops going, try to do to find me? How are they going to find me? I'm not even in the system. If I see this woman here, she looking fine, it's late at night, and I assault her, and she doesn't see me, I got a ski mask on, and I'm an illegal immigrant, how they going to catch me? And even if they do, what they going to do? They going to let me out again? Because if they let me out, maybe I'm going to flee to California like them other dudes. Listen, it only takes one. And then it becomes a precedent. And then it becomes a habit, it becomes a thing, and then it becomes normalized. Get ready to see crime skyrocket, which means you have to be more careful and vigilant, where you're going, what time you are, what time it is when you're out in certain areas. The scriptures tell you eventually, because of what? Tribulation and lack of bread, people are going to they're going to start invading houses and buildings. Things are going to start getting very, very bad. So anyway, that's pretty much it on that. Let me get a quick precept. I mean, there's so many different precepts you can go to, but let me just get this real quick and wrap this up. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Matter of fact, let's get the one in Matthew. Matthew 24 and there we go. Matthew 24 and 20. Now, in Matthew 24, this is the Lord prophesying concerning the signs of things that were to occur after he left, both things that would happen, in quick succession after he left, and things that would happen far along into the future, i.e. in our time now. So Matthew 24 and 20 says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day." Now, this is when Yahushua said this, he was referring to the flight from 70 AD, when the Romans would come in and besiege them and so on and so forth, and they'd have to flee. But the point is in verse 21, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So you may think that verse 21 is connected to verse 20. Well, verse 20 is talking about 70 AD, the siege. And then verse 21 says, for then you may think it's talking about the same time. But how do you know that it's not? Well, the key words here is that there's going to be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world. Meaning there's going to be some great destruction, great trouble that's not going to be able to compare to any time in history. That's the same wording in Jeremiah 30:7, the same wording in Daniel 12:1. And those times are not talking about 70 AD. Now, 70 AD was bad, but prior to that, since the beginning of time, there had been things that were worse that had happened. Right? And then it says, no, nor ever shall be, meaning that nothing after the time of 70 AD would compare to it. So you know that, okay, this time period that he's talking about, that the Lord is talking about, is not 70 AD, because 70 AD was bad, but there's been greater tribulations, both prior and post. So we know that this is referring to a different time period that is going to be so bad that nothing historically or nothing that'll come after can compare to how bad this thing is. And that's talking about the time of Jacob's trouble, the time that we are pretty much in now. And it's only going to escalate and escalate and escalate until it becomes very apparent to the whole world that there's something going on and it's not normal. All right. But once again, this is just the beginning of it. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. And until next time, Shalom.